What if one small flaw, one behavior that you can barely even notice, you barely even recognize, is the only thing keeping you from where you want to be? Welcome to Pillars of Mastery. Today, the book I'm going to cover is called What Got You Here Won't Get You There by Marshal Goldsmith. And he talks a lot about leaders, CEOs in this book, and he talks a lot about character traits, and we're gonna dive deep into that. And one of the things that he says, and we can apply this idea to athletes, we can apply it also to dads, husbands, that some of us insist on maintaining useless behaviors, unconstructive behaviors, and then we reinforce these behaviors and we rationalize behaviors. And why and how? Because we have the upper hand. As a father, we have the upper hand. As a CEO, we have an upper hand. And these titles that we have, they create a status separation from us and the people that we want to serve. And the idea, and the problem with that is that at some point that these characteristics, these ways of being are going to fail us. Being tough, being resilient, these ways are going to at some point fail us. And what I find is that high achieving males, high achieving men almost always face competition and challenges. And the reason why is by virtue of being a high achiever. When you put yourself in that high echelon, when you put yourself in those areas, whether it's high performance in sports at a high level or business or sales, even it could be in the medical industry, it could be anything. When you put yourself in that area, what you'll eventually find out is what got you here won't get you there. And the trouble with success is a fascinating paradox. So I created this to demonstrate the trouble with success, and then what performance mastery is, and then the challenges that we face going through the process. And the idea behind this is that when you become successful, what happens is you run into a paradox, and there's trouble with being successful, because being successful, success is what we call is a very, very lousy teacher. It doesn't, because it seduces us. It makes us think that we're smarter than we are and that we can't lose. The other thing is it makes us comfortable, because becoming successful, we relax and we kick back, and then we become reluctant to make any change because everything's good. Why am I going to change? Things are really, really good. One of the other paradoxes and one of the other troubles with and the problems with success is that we stop taking risks. What got us here was maybe we took some risk every once in a while. So then what we do is we start to hold back and we don't give it our all, and we experience mediocre results. And then we become very satisfied with the results that we have, become complacent, and we start taking things for granted. And you don't put the same level of effort, energy when you did when it was new, when when your relationship was new, your marriage, maybe you're not taking your wife out to dinner, you're not taking her on dates. One of the clients that I have, he's been married for about 10 years, and we're starting to work together. And what he's looking at is taking his business to the next level. He's hit a plateau. And what we did is, rather than focus on his business, what we did is we focused and we had a long conversation about his relationship. And when he started to look at his relationship, he saw that he had been complacent. He stopped taking his wife out. He stopped buying her gifts. He stopped telling her and sending her text messages, all these sweet things. And he realized that in a way, that's what he had been doing in his work. That as he lost his passion for his marriage, he had lost his passion for his work as well. And they both started to slip. So now he's focused on his marriage. And the idea is to be focused on the marriage, focused on that thing that brings you so much joy. And what he said to me, he sent me a text a little while ago, and he said, I sent text messages not only to my wife, to my kids, but to the top 10 managers in the company to let them know how I feel about them. So it spreads out. So complacency is when we start to take things for granted and start to take people for granted. And we want to keep that winning idea, that the way that we wanted when we first started, like, I want to win. I want to make it to the Super Bowl. I want to get the gold. I want this to be the best company. I want my marriage to be the best marriage of all time, that kind of thing. The other thing that the other trouble with success is that we become overconfident. And then we believe that we're better than our numbers. We're better than, like, so for instance, with this situation, he believed he was better than the years that he'd been married. I'm 10 years married. That means something. No, it doesn't mean anything. It simply means that you've been married for 10 years, but it doesn't mean that you get to stop being great. It doesn't mean you get to stop romance. This company is making $15 million minimum every quarter. So he's like, I can relax a little bit. No, you can't relax. You're losing your passion. So he's taking his numbers from about 15 million a quarter, which is 60 million a year. And his goal now is 115 million for this next year, for 2024. And he doesn't have a lot of confidence in that. So his overconfidence had him play small, but now his testing, his challenging himself is putting him at risk, right? One of the things, number 3, where you stop taking risks, he's now taking risks. He's now challenging himself. That's the idea. So the trouble with success is that we become overconfident, and then we become trapped. We become trapped in our own success. We become unwilling to change or adapt, which it's ultimately going to lead to stagnation and decline. So if we're trapped in our business with overconfidence, we're not doing the stuff that we need to do, and we transfer that to our marriage. I'm overconfident. She's fine. She loves me. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to get her flowers. I don't need to tell her how beautiful she is. I don't need to go to the gym with her. I don't need to take her out dancing. Yes, we become overconfident, and we become trapped inside of what we've accomplished, and we're not changing. We're not adapting. We're not creating new ways for romance. We're not finding new ways to engage with our customers, with our employees, with our leaders. So that's a tough thing about success. Another thing, number 8, is that we focus on the status quo. And what I mean by that is we protect our current position rather than look for new opportunities or challenges to pursue. So, for instance, like, I'm a ex-Charger fan. I guess I'm still a Charger fan. I don't like to say it too often. But in football, I remember back when Marty Schottenheimer was the coach, and he always do this thing called a prevent defense. You know how many games we lost with a prevent defense? We're trying to prevent them from scoring, and what we do is we play it safe. And that's like a focus on status quo, playing it safe, prevent anything bad from happening, which is not the same as creating new good stuff from happening and challenging yourself. It's very, very different. You're going to eventually fail. You're going to fall apart. The teams are going to fail. The relationships are going to fail. That's just what happens. So focus on status quo, not something good. That's one of the traps, one of the troubles, one of the paradoxes of success. Number 9 is when you stay still and fall behind. So what happens with staying still, same thing as not trying or focusing on status quo, is it ultimately leads to falling behind. You're ultimately going to lose ground. You're going to lose momentum. Staying still is not a good thing because the world doesn't stay still. Business doesn't stay still. It's always, always moving. And then what you have is you'll find is that you'll have a lack of vision. And this inhibits your ability to consider other people's perspectives, even your own other perspectives that you can come up with. And you're not going to consider different points of view from people, including, say, your wife. Your wife says, I think we should do something this way rather than that way. Like, nah, we do it that way. We've always done it that way. It's perfect. And then she then feels like she's not heard, that she's not expanding. So she's going to back off. So she's going to stop coming up with ideas. And then you wonder where she lost that love and feeling. And you don't realize is that you lost your vision. You are the person with a lack of vision. And then what happens is that trickle down to other people because you didn't put the effort in, because you weren't willing to be a visionary, that it's also going to affect everybody else that you're come in contact with. And then what happens is basically you find yourself stuck. I was like stuck, and I said the other word. So you find yourself stuck in a fixed mindset, and you see everything one way, and that's the huge paradox. That's the huge challenge that or the trouble that we have when we're focused on success and when we become complacent in success. Let's go to the middle section. The middle section is kind of like if we're trying to get out of this complacency, if we're trying to build ourselves, we are going to face challenges. And it's really, really important to understand the types of challenges that you're going to face. And Marshall talks a little bit about that in his book, and he says that you have to be aware that you're going to experience challenges, and those challenges that you're going to experience are going to be challenges that other people have had. So you want to seek counsel from other people that may have had these challenges, or get a coach that may look at those challenges from a different point of view. This list that I put together was not only from men that I coach, but also athletes I coach, the things they face. So I'm looking at this from two different perspectives. That's why I got the quarterback there and the Super Bowl trophy on the other side. So as we face these challenges, we're going to run from or avoid or protect. This is the area, okay? So what keeps us from growing is threats, that we run from threats. We avoid the threats. We protect ourselves from being threatened. Anxiety is a killer because it stops us from moving forward. A lot of people don't know how to deal with conflict, and so they don't move forward. They don't grow. They stay stagnant. They stay complacent because what got you here won't get you there. Your ability to deal with conflict or your ability to deal with threats was only good at the level that you were at when you got here. But when you want to get to another level, like I said, you're playing with a different set of players and a different set of rules. Things are going to happen. You're going to start to feel nervous. You're going to start to feel uncomfortable. That's why I have here nervousness, discomfort, panic, tired. You're going to get worn out. You're going to, there's an emotional component to what I'm talking about here. A lot of times people will get tired because we are avoiding something. So when we are avoiding, make this a little smaller because my face, let me move it over here. It's a little bit more. So when we become tired often because we're avoiding something. So our brain shuts down and says, I don't want to deal with that. I don't feel comfortable with that. It's a threat. So why don't you just go to sleep? And your brain literally puts you to sleep. That's what happens. So when we're running from challenge, when we're avoiding challenges, we're trying to protect ourselves. One of the things that happens often is we become tired. And then we avoid failure. Maybe we avoid pressure. These are some of the challenges that we face that stop us from going to the next level of success. Now, the areas that we need or what we could develop, that's this other side, this other part of this list here. And the areas could be confidence. Like when you're looking at what got me here won't get me there. So what is the next thing I want to do? In Men's Breakthrough, the curiosity theory, human performance mastery, what we talk about is qualities. So these are the qualities that you want to look at, that you can instill inside yourself, that you can take from another person, maybe somebody that you admire, somebody that you look up to, and look at those qualities. That person's a very confident person. That quarterback's a very confident quarterback. One of the guys that I coach is a pitcher in the majors, and he has some of the guys that he looks up to in the majors, and what he liked was their level of confidence. And what he was able to do is what he did was he looked at himself and he judged his level of confidence that he had against what he perceived the other person's confidence was. And it's just not a true measure because you never really know the other person's confidence. So what he had to do is he had to step back and change his mindset. And we'll talk about that in performance mastery. So confidence is a big thing that you could want to develop. How about freedom? Developing your ability to feel more free inside of the decisions you make, inside of the constraints that you think you live in. So freedom is an area of development. Self-talk, how we're talking to ourselves. That's probably the number one thing, the number one complaint, the number one obstacle that I hear most people that I coach talk about is they talk about how they speak to themselves, how they want to change their self-talk, and that's a huge thing. The next section is strength. I can develop my strength. So as an athlete, myself training for another Spartan race, I'm looking at a characteristic that I want to work on, I want to develop is strength. Now, I'm a strong person. Don't get me wrong. I'm a strong guy. I'm not a weak guy, but strength for me was really interesting. I was talking to Ingrid about this the other day, my girlfriend. We were talking about strength, and I was distinguishing how I had worked out my whole life and how I had developed strength. I had developed strength inside of myself as muscle. like muscle strength, like it could be like force. And now that I'm running Spartan races, the strength is different. I don't need thick muscles. I need long muscles. I need lean muscles. I need muscles that can stretch, and contract, contract and what is it? Stretch and move around, because it's a different kind of muscle. So the kind of muscle, the kind of strength that I now need to get me to where I was before I started running Spartan races is not what the type of muscle that I need to get me to where I want to go. What got me here won't get me there. So strength is an important area that we can develop, and it happens in mental strength, emotional strength. There's a lot of different ways of looking at that. Finishing strong. A lot of people that I work with say that they don't have a way to finish strong, that when they get to the end of when they get toward the end of the finish line, that they start to slow down, and sometimes they make mistakes then. And I find that, like, when we work out, like at the gym that we go to, there's maybe 20 people all working out together in a group, right? And so maybe we're supposed to run 100 meters, 1,100 meters, 800 meters, whatever. And what I always notice is that toward the very end, that last like 30 meters, 10 meters, people start slowing down. So finishing strong is something that we want to develop. It's a lot of people want to develop. It's like, hey, listen, I get close to the end and then I just start slowing down, and that's not what I'm going to do. I want to cross the finish line with as much energy as I did when I started, and I want to do the whole race, the whole project with that kind of energy. I want to start strong. I want to finish strong. So that's another quality that people like to develop. Confidence. Confidence is something that's huge. I think I have it written twice. Relax. A lot of people carry a lot of anxiety, so that one of the characteristics that they want to develop, the area of need, is to be able to relax, to have emotional intelligence, discipline, an ability to handle pressure, having energy and endurance. These are challenges that we face, and challenges that we face of areas that we want to develop. You get that? So when you're going from that success mindset to that mastery mindset, that's the mindset we want to talk about, to be an elite, to have an elite mindset. What we want to do is we want to understand the challenges that we're going to face. So on the other side of this chart is performance mastery. That's being at a high level, playing at a high level, having momentum, that where you keep going, where you finish strong, where you're confident, where you have freedom, you have emotional intelligence, all those things. And what are the skills that you want to have there? The skills are to have an elite mindset, so that that things affect you, like negative stuff doesn't affect you and destroy you, but that you handle adversity really, really well. An elite mindset gives you the ability to take on challenges, and when things aren't going your way, you can depend on your mindset. And that's like a muscle. Mindset is a muscle, because it would be your brain set, brain fixed. Fixed mindset is what we're talking about here. But what we want to talk about is we want an elite mindset, a growth mindset, if you will. So number 2 is your ability to performance is having a mastery in performance is your ability to embrace challenges. Obstacles make me stronger is one of the things that we talk about. I think Daniel Oettingen talked about it. OMS, OMMS. Obstacles make me stronger. Do the obstacles hurt you, or do they give you strength? David Goggins talks about his cookie jar, where he takes those bad memories and he takes the things that happened to him that most people call negative, and he puts those in the cookie jar, because when he's running, he wants to put them he wants to eat them up like cookies that give him fuel. So all the negative challenges, all what quote unquote negative challenges, we want to embrace those challenges, like a number 4, like a bring it on mindset. So another thing that goes along with embracing challenges is looking at failure as an opportunity. And failure is when it's judged, when you create a story about it, it can take your mind and you can just be lost. When you look at failure as this happened, and you look at it in a stoic way, this is what happened, XYZ happened, this is what I meant to have happen. Oops, I fell maybe a little bit short. Okay, needs work. Let me look at this failure as an opportunity. Where is the opportunity? Where can I fix? How can I change? What can I restart? What can I keep? What can I get rid of? What is it I need to learn from this? And then the next one is that bring it on mentality. And then number 5 is ongoing development. Having living a life that you're constantly developing in your relationships. It could be in your marriage. Like I'm constantly developing my love, my ability to have romance, my sexual expressions, that we don't get locked into a way of having sex, that we're always growing and enjoying each other. We're learning new things. In business, the same thing. Like maybe in business, I need to learn new ways. I need to develop myself. My team needs to develop. We need to look and see, what we can do. Are we complacent? Are we stuck? Have we stopped taking risks? We look at the other side, the trouble with success. And it makes me think about Kodak. Kodak was at one point one of the top companies in the world. But what they failed to look at is taking pictures into the digital area. They did not want to, they said, film is what we print onto, and that's how you do it. And then you put a picture on a piece of paper, and that's how you look at it. And everybody else was going, well, there's another idea, which is called this thing called digital. They're like, nope, we're not going to do that. They didn't do that. And it cost them dearly. Because they actually had all the technology, they were ahead, they had the money, they could have done it. Kodak could be one of the biggest companies right now, but instead, no, where are they? So ongoing development. And then number 6 is seek out feedback. To being a performance master is you want to seek out feedback. Find a mentor, find a coach. Take the stuff that you do. I'm always writing notes, and I'll share these notes with people and say, what do you think about this? What is your take on this? But the feedback is not like, I'm not looking for an opinion. I'm looking for counsel. Greg Reed from, what's his book? 3 Feet from Gold. He talks a lot about opinion is one thing. That's what people will give you. If you ask somebody for an opinion, they'll just give you an opinion that happens to be this is how I think about it. When you seek counsel, what you're doing is you're telling people to look into their wisdom, look into their experience, and then pull something out that actually makes sense. So if I'm looking for feedback, if I'm seeking feedback, I want to seek feedback from people that I respect, people that are going to give me good feedback rather than just an opinion. Number 7 is embrace change. That speaks for itself. When we're talking about being resistant to change on the trouble with success, right? And then we don't change because we feel threat, we feel anxious, we don't handle conflict well, we don't handle pressure well, we don't want to fail. That's going to keep us in that fixed mindset. It's going to keep us in the red over there. What we want to do is embrace change, lean into it, bring it on, have that warrior mentality. And number 8 is cultivate growth. Basically, cultivate growth is that you are going to not only change, but then when the change happens, you're going to cultivate it. You're going to nourish it. You're going to keep learning. You're going to do things that support it. One of the things that happens in coaching, a lot of people will want to get coaching on one issue. And so what happens is they'll have a breakthrough with that issue. But what happens is that issue, when you change issues or challenges in your life, it opens up a can of worms for a new set. So a lot of things I recommend, or one of the things that I recommend, is to cultivate your growth, to spend time not only on the breakthrough, but what shows up as a result of that breakthrough, because it's going to be basically a new set of problems, if you will. So number 9 is focus on what needs change versus what you feel comfortable changing. That's a huge one, because a lot of people are only going to change what they feel comfortable changing versus focusing on what needs to change. So in my business, this needs to change, but I only feel comfortable changing this. So that's not really change. That's avoiding discomfort. That's avoiding pressure. That's avoiding failure. That's stop taking risks. That's focusing on the status quo, all those things. That's going to lead us to failure eventually, just to, what do they call it? You stay still and you fall behind. That's what that is all about. So focus on what needs to change. Without an opinion, without an emotion, what needs to change? Look at your marriage. What needs to change in your marriage? Without an opinion, without an emotional opinion, but just a real deep, honest look at yourself and your marriage. What needs to change? What can change? Not what you feel comfortable changing, but what needs to change. And then focus on that. In business, the same thing. Look at your company. Look at your processes. What needs to change? Not what you feel comfortable changing, but what actually needs to change. Accountability is a huge thing. And it really has to do with your ability to make promises and keep promises. And a lot of people, when they come to me, they'll hire me as an accountability coach. But they learn really, really quick that my coaching you in accountability or coaching them in accountability is not that I'm going to hold them accountable. But what I do is I teach them, which is number 11, is integrity, to honor their word, to give their word and keep their word, not to me, but to themselves. Accountability is your ability to honor and keep your word to yourself. So here, these are 11 points of performance mastery. I didn't get all of those, by the way, from What Got You Here Won't Get You There. Most of them are from people that I've worked with. There are some of them from here. I paraphrased a lot of what he talks about here. I love the book, but the big point of the book is really understanding that you can be a fixed mindset human being or you can be a growth mindset human being, that you can be stuck in success and complacency and overconfidence, or you can look at being a high performer. You can look at what challenges you face and have that bring it on mentality, constantly grow and develop, seek feedback, embrace change, focus on what needs to change versus what you feel comfortable changing. Find somebody to be accountable. I have an accountability program. I am an accountability coach as well. And learn to keep your word. Integrity. Have integrity. Your word is everything. So thank you for watching today's book review. And if you have any questions or comments, please drop them below, and like and share this. And as always, just keep following us. And if there's any books that you want us to look at, and this is another book I'm going to do. I have a list of like 50 books I'm going to do a review. This is another book that I'm working on, The Art of Impossible by Stephen Kotler. So we're going to be doing that pretty soon. So yeah, like and comment, share, and subscribe to the page. Thanks a lot. We'll see you soon.